Well, welcome to the Luke Macias Show. I am going to give you highlights of things that have happened over the last several days. We are 48 hours away from the Texas House of Representatives being done passing House bills this session, which also means that we are going to find out whether they are going to let Democrats, along with Republicans, run out the clock and kill important conservative legislation, or whether they'll be efficient with the next 48 hours and get a few more wins on the board. There's a ton of other stuff going on. A lot of bills being moved, a lot of things being slowed, and some random Democrat legislation making the floor, seemingly being a priority for leadership. Let's get to the show. We are going to start today's show on a positive note. There are still plenty of wins that we have to get. But it is worth celebrating some of the victories we are having with all of the new elected conservative members who are pushing conservative policy. And one of those wins this week was House Bill 3225 by Daniel Alders. It is a bill that would make sure that minors cannot check out, that a local city library has to have a list of books that have sexually explicit content in them. And those books cannot be checked out by a minor if their parent has not specifically signed off on that book being checked out. Now, this is a great step in the right direction. There's many different bills that are designed and focused on trying to protect children from the explicit content that is found in libraries, county libraries, city libraries, school libraries. And this is just one of those bills. Now, I actually posted the entire debate on my YouTube channel, so if you do want to take an hour and 40 minutes, you can go and watch the entire debate. Go to the Luke Macias Show's YouTube channel, and the entire debate is on there. Now, I will say that the first 45 minutes is probably the most substantive. If you have 45 minutes of your time and you want to see more substantive debates on the House floor, then you can go and you will see just how radical some of these Democrats are that are being put in positions of leadership and who are being allowed to advance a lot of policy this session. They pushed back heavily to Daniel Alders, who defended this policy very well. And I'm just going to go to a 1-minute clip of the discussion that happened because I personally thought of the hour and 45, this is the most important minute. Let's go to this clip.
I think many of us would dispute that the books that would be covered by this definition would be the equivalent of an X-rated movie. I
would beg to differ on that.
I think the concern is that some of these books feel PG-13 to us, or are, and quite appropriate.
I would submit that
that
is because we have become numb to some of this material in our culture today. And for better or worse, we're inundated with content around us that has allowed us to become numb over the years. And so just because it feels PG-13 doesn't mean that it is that. But we've allowed our standards to drop in a way that is unhelpful, and it allows us then to look at something that would never have been appropriate for our children 20, 30, 40 years ago and gone, oh, that's probably okay. They're probably going to run into it anyway out there in the world. I think that's a dangerous place for us to be.
I really am grateful that Representative Alders was willing to just say what we all know, that is, we are becoming desensitized to just how sexualized our culture is getting. And if you listened to the Democrats who were defending this policy, they were enraged that even a 13 and 14 and 15-year-old wouldn't be allowed. In fact, they tried to make that amendment at one point. They went in and offered an amendment that said, hey, if you're a teenager, you should be able to sneak a sexually explicit book behind your parents' back. That's crazy. It's absolutely nuts. And I am grateful that Representative Alders was willing to push back. Another interesting debate that happened on the House floor was actually House Bill 2858. And House Bill 2858 was a guest worker program that came to the floor. Now, I want to make this clear, and you'll hear this in Representative Alcott's comments that he makes in his speech against the bill. But the Texas House has been killing multiple pieces of immigration legislation. They have not passed a bill yet this session. We have 2.5 weeks left that actually addresses the issue of immigration. And House Bill 2858, though, did get to the floor with Republican and Democrat support, and that was to create a guest worker program in Texas whereby foreign nationals who are not citizens could come across and provide cheaper labor than what you would have to pay an American citizen. That is what this bill was designed to do. After we've had 5 million people come into our country over the last couple of years, you know what? We need some more people to come in so that wages can be dropped even more. And that's what House Bill 2858 was designed to do by Ray Lopez. And it was prioritized by the State Affairs Committee, moved out, and put on our calendar. Are we getting rid of in-state tuition to illegals? No. Are we trying to bring more foreign nationals in to take Texas jobs? Yes. That happened on the Texas House floor, and I can't say how grateful I am that Mike Alcott not only defended or opposed this policy, and by the way, if you do go to my YouTube channel or Twitter, I did post a longer form of this debate and discussion, 20 minutes and 9 minutes, but I want to go to just his speech against the bill. Let's go to this clip.
The chair recognizes Mr. Alcott in opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I have to admit, I'm in shock. While we have really good immigration bills stalled in committees, like a really good E-Verify bill, 287G, which is going to require local law enforcement to work with the Trump administration to help them with deportations. The first bill that comes to our House addressing this is a bill to bring in even more immigration. As I said, more than 5 million foreign nationals have come into this country over the last few years. And if the other side of the aisle likes to talk about wages. It's a supply and demand thing. You bring in more people, it's going to suppress wages. If there is a shortage in any of these fields, it probably means they're not getting paid enough money. And I cannot believe that we're here talking about passing legislation that, according to the Republican Party of Texas platform, it calls for the reduction and or elimination of guest worker program, not the expansion. And I'll be voting no. Thank you.
The good news is that this bill died. It died on the House floor, and Republicans just strongly rallied around Mike Alcott, who asked some fantastic questions and then got up and gave a speech and said, guys, there is no way we are going to do this right now in Texas. It's absurd that we're even having the discussion and the debate. There are 9 Republicans. So ultimately the bill died 76-65. And there were 9 Republicans that voted with the Democrats to try to pass this bill. And those 9 Republicans are Drew Darby, Charlie Guerin, Ryan Guillen, Ken King, Stan Lambert, Janie Lopez, John Lujan, Candy Noble, and Denise Villalobos. One of the things that is frustrating is that nearly every Hispanic Republican voted for this bill. Lujan, Guillen, Villalobos, Janie Lopez. I'm very grateful that J.M. Lozano did not. Mano de Ayala, other people that could have supported it, did not support it. It's a very, very, very good thing. Here's the problem. There is an issue with Hispanic Republicans believing that that somehow makes them loyal and representative of Mexican nationals, of South American nationals, of people who are foreign nationals who are not citizens of this country. And I don't know where we got where Hispanic Republicans in the Texas House of Representatives somehow seem to believe, I don't want to speak for them. I do appreciate Ryan Guillen, John Lujan, and other, when they've taken certain stances. Like, I do not always disagree with these individuals, but to have 4 Hispanic Republicans vote for the guest worker program tends to send some kind of message that the right Hispanic position is to expand foreign national labor and take Texas jobs. Their whole message was, I'm telling you guys, construction companies and farmers, they just can't find workers. And here's how the market works. When you can't find workers, it means you're not offering enough money. We actually want to get to a place in Texas. There's been this push on affordable housing policy. We actually want to get to a place where houses come down, both through affordable housing policies and through homestead exemption increases, so it's more affordable to buy a house. And then we want wages to go up so that somebody who's working on a construction site building a house can afford to buy a house himself. That is where we want to get as a society. And instead, they want to pass these guest worker programs that are going to make it harder and are going to keep wages further suppressed. It's really absolutely insane. And when it comes to Democrat policy, it's really interesting. So we are in the last several days. By Thursday at midnight, no more House bills can pass the Texas House. And some conservatives in the House are trying to advance the ball as much as possible, but they're literally not even being allowed to kill Democrat bills that are all in front of the Republican priorities. There's 100 Democrat bills that you have to get through in order to get to a Republican GOP priority, or 30 or 40. And then the GOP priorities are just intermittently placed all the way down the calendar. So 2 of the bills that died, the Democrat bills that died yesterday, one was House Bill 5623 by Yvonne Davis, relating to the provision of grants from the Texas Energy Fund for certain energy efficient projects. Now, I am not going to tell you all the details of this policy because it really doesn't matter. Here's actually the interesting thing. This is a Democrat bill that has to do with providing certain grants from the Texas Energy Fund to certain energy efficient products. And when this bill came up to vote, 75 Republicans voted against it, 66 people voted to pass it, and it died. Okay. Then it came up and was reconsidered. Now, a bill only gets reconsidered if the speaker decides to let the bill get reconsidered. Okay. And basically what you see is that a bunch of people with leadership cross over to say, we Republicans killed this bill. We actually want the bill to come back, and then we want to vote on the bill again. And that passed 78 to 61. 61 Republicans said, no, we shouldn't reconsider this Democrat bill. It seems pretty obvious. And then there was a record vote on the bill, and the bill passed 78 to 65. 65 Republicans voted against this bill. A handful of Republicans cross over to make sure Yvonne Davis gets a bill, and also taking up necessary time that is absolutely going to kill other Republican bills further down the session. The other notice that was given was on Venton Jones' bill. Venton Jones has a bill relating to a school district policy regarding custodian workloads. And that bill died. And guess what? They gave an hour notice that they're evidently going to reconsider that. And at some point today, they might bring it up on the floor because the notice has been given that the speaker basically intends to help resurrect these bills. Representative Brent Money is one of the conservative Republicans who is fighting to make sure we actually get to the Republican priorities, and expressed his frustration yesterday on the floor. Let's go to this clip.
Mr. Money, for what purpose?
Parliamentary inquiry.
Please state your inquiry.
Are you aware that there are 152 Democrat bills on today's calendar while our Republican priority legislation is stuck in committee?
It's not a proper parliamentary inquiry.
Okay, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Money, we have a motion pending before the House right now.
I'll ask about the motion then, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, is it your discretion to determine whether to recognize motions to reconsider?
Yes, it is, and Ms. Hernandez gave the proper notice required.
Mr. Speaker?
Mr. Money, for what purpose?
Parliamentary inquiry.
Please state your inquiry.
On now 3 separate occasions today, we've received notice that we will spend some of our limited remaining time to reconsider Democrat bills that have already been defeated by this body, and doing so leaving us with less time to work on legislation that matters to all of our districts. Is there anything in the rules that requires a speaker to recognize a motion to reconsider?
No, sir. You're welcome to vote against the motion.
Mr. Speaker?
Please, Mr. Money, for what purpose?
Parliamentary inquiry.
Please state your inquiry.
Are bills allowed to fail in this body, or are we going to reconsider every bill that gets defeated and lose time that we could be spending on bills that have a chance to pass?
Mr. Money, that's a hypothetical inquiry that I'm not going to respond to.
All right. Thank you.
Do not let your Republican member of the House of Representatives come back to you and tell you we ran out of time. They didn't run out of time. Every Republican priority that is on the calendar can be gotten to, but they're letting them die. And I'm grateful that there is a group of strong Republican conservative members who are trying to fight to advance as much conservative policy as possible, and that coalition is bigger than it ever has been. And I really hope that Dustin Burrows is willing to just let today and tomorrow be a productive set of days for Republicans. It's not hard. The bills are on the calendar. But if they die when the clock strikes midnight on Thursday, it won't be because Democrats killed them. It will be because Republicans spent time resurrecting Democrat bills, voting more Democrat bills through, and refusing to allow the process to move more quickly. At the start of the session, Jared Patterson called the previous question. For those of you who don't know what that is, that's 25 members, which the speaker can recognize at any time. 25 members say, hey, we're not debating this bill. We're just going to vote on it up or down. And 25 Republicans, if the speaker would let them, could literally just make this process go much quickly to make sure that the key Republican legislation on the calendar gets gotten to and passes. So if you have a state representative like Shelley Luther or Andy Hopper or Mike Alcott or Brent Money or Mitch Little or Tony Tinderholt or Nate Schatzline or Katrina Pearson or, there's so many others, Janice Holton, Carissa Richardson, and I'm not, David Lowe, Steve Toth, and anybody who's listening to this, I'm sorry if I didn't mention your name. You have a bunch of great conservative Republicans that are trying to advance conservative Republican policy this session and get the wins on the board. And guys, there's still time. For the next 2 days, in 2 days from now, we will run out of time to pass House bills, and then we will have 2 weeks to actually pass Senate bills only, and there will still be a great opportunity. Ken King is killing Senate Bill 240, the Women's Privacy Act. He's killing E-Verify. He's killing a ban on taxpayer-funded lobbying, and Dustin Burrows is letting him do it right now. Senate Bill 12 is still being held up in the Public Education Committee. It had a hearing, but every day that goes by that Senate Bill 12 does not get voted out of committee is another day that makes it harder for that bill to pass into law, which that bill is a bill that actually helps protect and remove gender identity, sexual orientation, all this stuff from our public school system. And so I am hopeful that some of these bills are able to advance it within the time that we still have to pass them. In closing, we are going to go to a quick clip of testimony that happened this morning on Senate Bill 2933. I don't know what Senate Bill 2933 is, but I will tell you, there's one citizen that seems pretty hot about it. And I figured y'all, as Texans, would just want to know the kind of conversations that sometimes happen in these committees. Before we go to this clip of this individual testifying before the House Judiciary Committee, let's take a quick break.
Howdy, folks. It's Chris Salcedo from the Salcedo Storm podcast. You might know me from my TV show on Newsmax or my radio show on AM 700 KSEV in Houston. As a veteran broadcaster, author, and conservative political analyst, I've teamed up with Texas Scorecard to take a no-nonsense approach to the toughest questions Americans are wrestling with every day. Join me on the Salcedo Storm podcast, where I challenge the status quo and bring you fresh perspectives on the national, state, and cultural news. Tune in weekdays, available wherever you listen to podcasts.
Mr. Heimlich, I have you here as Ed Heimlich on behalf of yourself, registered against the bill. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right.
This is just another means for Guy Herman to profit at the expense.
You can testify on the bill,
rest of us.
nothing else. On the bill.
I am 70 years old. I am elderly. I am the protected class that is supposed to be protected from elder abuse and elder exploitation. I paid the filing fee, the excess fees that you want to give away. I paid the excess fees for a guardian for my father because he was being abused. And what did I get? He got abused and exploited by the probate court. I'm now being abused and exploited by the probate court. I'm a victim of elder abuse. These judges don't need to pay his college for training to recognize elder abuse. It's just...
Mr. Heimlich, do you have comments on the bill in front of us now?
Yes.
What?
This is just fraud. A continuation of more fraud.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions for this witness? All right. Seeing none, Mr. Heimlich, you could be excused. You're excused, sir.
Get the Texas Rangers to investigate the probate mafia.
I'm about to get the Texas DPS to come remove you from the committee room. You're excused.
One other good note that we have to at least make you aware of is House Bill 4623 by Mitch Little. And House Bill 4623 is something that is going to remove the immunity that school districts have from being liable from assault, sexual assault that takes place at schools by their employees. And if they are negligent in the process, it is going to hold them accountable. This could be a massive win that Mitch Little has been pushing, House Bill 4623, and it did pass the House on second reading last night. The speaker let them get to Mitch Little's bill and then ended. They could have gone for 2 or 3 or 4 more hours and gotten a lot more bills done and gotten to some other Republican policy, but that's where they ended. Mitch Little did a masterful job defending this bill. There were only 6 people that voted against it, but Democrats were very concerned about the bill. And a lot of them that voted for it really didn't like it, but they voted for it because you can't vote against sexual assault victims. And the big concern is that the public school system will now be held liable, which means that the public schools will have to put better processes in place to protect children from being abused by adults in the public school system. Because now they can get sued, and they've capped the damages at $500,000. But right now they're immune from suit. And Mitch Little's passing a bill that says they're not immune anymore. We're capping it at $500,000. And if something happens, you will be taken to court and you will pay. Which means that these schools will be much more strict on their policies about where and how adults in the public school system can interact with children. And if you go to Texas Scorecard, some of the most popular content on that website are all the horrific stories that continue to come out about inappropriate relationships between teachers and children and inappropriate contact between teachers and children. And so I am very grateful that Mitch Little has this bill. And I have to show you a clip where Mitch Little and Jolanda Jones are exchanging a back and forth set of questions. Let's just go to the clip.
Does the gentleman yield for questions?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Mr. Little, may I ask why this bill doesn't extend to private schools that receive voucher money?
Because they're not immune from suit. In fact, I've sued some of them.
Okay, thanks.
Mitch Little is one of the stars of this session already, and it's really, truly remarkable to see the Democrats. They don't even know that you can sue a private school if there's an inappropriate relationship. The only place you can't go are the public schools, and this brings them into parity. And some Democrats were still concerned. And honestly, there were a lot of Democrats that hated the bill, but they just voted for it because they're saying, hey, I'm not going to vote to say you should protect the abusers in the public school system. But they're that loyal to the teacher unions. There are a lot of other battles happening. The Texas Senate continues to pass strong, good, conservative policy that the Texas House still has time to get across the finish line. And once the House bill calendars are done, they need to buckle down and get as many of these Senate bills across the finish line. And let's get some strong Republican wins here in the last couple weeks. May God bless you and may God bless Texas.
Be sure to subscribe to Texas Scorecard on YouTube and click that bell to ensure you're a real Texan. If you liked this video and want to see more citizen-driven journalism, be sure to click like and go to TexasScorecard.com to read about all things Texas. Texas Scorecard, real news for real Texans.